You know, it's still quite surreal, really.
Hmm.
Just yesterday, Pope Francis was making that unexpected appearance in St. Peter's Square for Easter, and, well, now...
Now we have the news of his passing. Yesterday, Monday, April 21st, 88 years old.
Yeah, 88. And the Vatican, they just announced the cause. Complications after a stroke, apparently.
Right, leading to a coma and then irreversible heart failure was the report.
It's a moment that's definitely got the world talking, hasn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, his influence has been so widespread for quite a long time. It's hard to imagine things without him, in a way.
And adding another layer to this already significant moment, the Vatican has also released Pope Francis's last will and testament.
Okay.
He actually wrote it back on June 29th, 2022. And this document, well, it gives us a really personal look into his wishes, specifically, where he wanted to be laid to rest.
Right.
So that's what we're going to delve into today, the details of this will and maybe what they tell us about the man himself.
Yeah, it sounds like a fascinating glimpse, behind the public figure into his personal thoughts on, well, mortality and his spiritual priorities.
Definitely. And the fact that he wrote this nearly 3 years ago, that suggests some real thoughtful consideration.
For sure. A considerable period of contemplation, as you said.
Exactly. And right from the start, the will has this very personal feel. He writes about feeling that the sunset of my earthly life is approaching.
Mm.
And he shares his, quote, lively hope in eternal life. It doesn't feel like a formal pronouncement.
No, much more like a heartfelt reflection, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Precisely. And so what's the central request? The main thing he lays out?
Well, the first big thing is his very clear wish to be interred in the Papal Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore, right here in Rome.
Ah, Santa Maria Maggiore. Okay.
Now, for anyone listening who might not be super familiar, what's the significance of Santa Maria Maggiore? What's its story?
Well, it's a big one. It's one of the 4 major papal basilicas in Rome. And its dedication is to the Virgin Mary. That gives it a really special place.
Okay.
And it's old, really old. It dates all the way back to the 5th century, so it's steeped in history.
What I found particularly interesting, though, was his personal connection to this basilica.
Mm-hmm.
The will apparently mentions that after every single one of his trips abroad, and there were like over 100 of them,
Wow, yeah.
he would always make a point of visiting Santa Maria Maggiore to pray.
Every time.
Seems like it. Entrusting his journeys and intentions to the Virgin Mary and then going back to, give thanks, it really paints a picture of how much this place meant to him.
It really does. That wasn't just a casual stop then.
No, not at all.
It speaks volumes, really, about his deep personal devotion, a consistent spiritual practice throughout his time as Pope. It suggests this wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision for the will, either.
Right. Clearly a place of profound personal and spiritual significance for him. And he doesn't just say somewhere in the basilica. He gets quite specific about the exact spot.
Oh, okay. Where exactly?
He asks for, and I'm quoting roughly here, the niche of the side nave between the Pauline Chapel and the Sforza Chapel.
Huh. Between the Pauline and Sforza Chapel.
Yeah. And he clarifies, or the document clarifies, the Pauline Chapel is also known as the Chapel of the Salus Populi Romani.
Ah, yes. The Salus Populi Romani icon. That's a very ancient and revered icon of Mary, a protector of the Roman people.
So being near that specific image was important.
It seems so. That level of specificity, I mean, it leaves no room for interpretation, does it? Shows he had a very clear picture in his mind for his final resting place.
It really does. Now, beyond the location itself, something else really struck me. The simplicity he asks for.
Simplicity, how so?
In his tomb, he says, quote, the tomb must be in the earth, simple without particular decoration.
In the earth, okay. Simple.
And with the only inscription, Franciscus. Just his first name.
Franciscus, wow. That's a really notable departure, isn't it? From what we've seen with many previous popes, they often have quite, elaborate tombs.
Exactly. Detailed inscriptions about their papacy, their full titles.
Right. So this request for such stark simplicity, just his given name, it really underscores that theme of humility, doesn't it? Something so central to his whole papacy.
It feels like a final, very personal statement, almost like a last lesson in itself.
Yeah, a very deliberate choice.
And the will also touches on the practicalities, how his burial expenses will be handled.
Okay, practical details too.
It mentions a specific benefactor is going to cover the costs.
Wow, okay.
And apparently arrangements have already been made to transfer those funds to Santa Maria Maggiore. And there are instructions for Monsignor Rolandus Mecricus.
Macricus, yes. He's the extraordinary commissioner of the Liberian chapter. That's basically the body that oversees the Basilica.
Right. So it's interesting to see that level of, practical planning in what's essentially a very personal document.
It really shows a thoughtfulness, doesn't it? And a desire to make sure his wishes are respected and, well, carried out smoothly. Naming a benefactor, giving specific instructions. It's very organized.
Takes the burden off others, maybe.
Perhaps. He's taking concrete steps to manage the arrangements.
And then, as he brings the will to a close, he shares some really touching final thoughts.
Like what?
He says, "May the Lord give the deserved reward to those who have loved me and will continue to pray for me." There's a real sense of gratitude there.
Absolutely,
Okay.
acknowledging that support.
And the very last part, this really resonated. He talks about offering his suffering, especially in his final years, offering it to the Lord for peace in the world and brotherhood among peoples.
Wow. Even at the end, focused outward.
Exactly. It ties right back into the core messages he emphasized throughout his time as Pope, doesn't it? Even facing his own mortality, his focus is still on global well-being, on unity.
It truly is. Consistent right to the end.
So when you put it all together, this last will and testament, it really paints a powerful picture. Quite intimate, really.
It does.
It highlights this deep personal connection he clearly had with the Virgin Mary through his devotion to Santa Maria Maggiore.
Yes, that's very clear.
And this unwavering desire for, well, a humble, unadorned final resting place.
It feels like a very fitting final expression, doesn't it? From a pope who consistently championed humility and service, and choosing such a significant Marian sanctuary, it really speaks volumes about his spiritual core.
It certainly gives you a lot to reflect on. It makes you think, doesn't it, about how someone's final wishes can offer such, well, profound insights into their life, their values.
Yeah, what truly held importance for them.
Right. It almost makes you pause and consider your own values,
Yeah.
what you might deem significant when you think about, well, your own legacy, however small or large. Something to ponder.